They tried to sabotage my house while I was at work, but my daughter had the security footage. While Ava and my mom tampered with alarms and whispered plans, my daughter quietly labeled the video, "Don't show Daddy yet." She was 7. She saved everything. And in the courtroom, her voice was the one thing they couldn't silence. Hit play to see how one small voice brought down a house of lies. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more stories that hit home. Literally. Hi, I'm Matt, 35, architect, dad, and the guy whose own parents tried to legally evict him so my sister could have her first home. I didn't start this fight. I was just trying to keep a roof over my kid's head. The one I installed myself, by the way. But when my daughter stood up in that courtroom and said, "Can I show you something Daddy doesn't know?" everything changed. You want the full story? Good. Buckle up. It started like most betrayals do, in a kitchen that smelled like roast chicken and family history. We were having Sunday dinner at my parents' house. Nora, my 7-year-old, was happily rearranging the salt and pepper shakers into a dragon. My dad was carving a chicken like it owed him money, and my mom was plating asparagus like Ina Garten on a timer. Ava, my sister, sat across from me with her wine glass tilted, pinky out, like she was born to pose. "So," she said, swirling her glass, "you're still in the carriage house?" "Yep," I said. "Until I close on something. Prices are still nuts." She nodded slowly, the kind of nod that says, "I'm pretending to understand you while loading my next missile." Then she smiled. A smile I've seen melt cops and charm waiters into free desserts. "It's kind of perfect back there," she said, soft, like she was unwrapping a gift in her head. Like, starter home perfect. I laughed, not because it was funny, because sometimes laughter is a pressure valve. "For who?" I asked. "For me," she said, as casually as if she were asking for a second helping of chicken. "I mean, it's tiny but cute, and I'm turning 31. It's time to own something." My dad kept carving. My mom kept plating. Neither looked at me. "It would be good for the family," Ava added, "to finally have me settled." That word, settled, like I was the storm in this scenario. My mom nodded like the idea had been brewing for weeks. "It would be nice," she said, "to see Ava in a place of her own." That's when the click happened. The click you hear in your head when a detail finally fits, when the plan you didn't know was happening shows its shape. I didn't say anything. But inside, the blueprint was already unfolding, and my daughter, 7 and smarter than most adults I know, leaned into my side and whispered, "Can I have the drumstick you don't want?" "Take both," I said, and I meant it. Because in that moment, I didn't want anything at that table. A week later, my mom texted, "Coffee after work?" which in my family is code for, "I need to say something you're not gonna like." But I'm going to put it in a latte so it feels less like betrayal. I showed up in my work boots and a safety vest speckled with drywall dust. She was already seated, a manila folder at her elbow, like a job interview with no job. "We've been talking," she started. "Always a great way to open a conversation," I said. She did that sip, stir, pause routine. 1 part performance, 2 parts guilt marinade. "Your dad and I think it's time to make things official with the carriage house." "Official how?" "Ava's been saving." I blinked. "For what? For a down payment on the building I'm currently living in?" "It's her first home," my mom said, like she was unveiling a commemorative plaque. I exhaled hard through my nose. "It's my home. I rebuilt that place. I rewired it. I leveled floors. I live there." "You've always known it was temporary." "No," I said, calm but direct. "You always said it was temporary, but I never agreed to a deadline." She pushed the folder toward me. "Just read it." Inside, comps, a rough sketch of the property lines, and a legal-looking document that smelled like betrayal dressed in business casual. It was a tenancy termination, 90 days. Words like gift and legacy and family equity tossed around like confetti at a funeral. "I'm not a picture frame," I said. "You don't just move me around." "Don't be dramatic," she said, which, pro tip, is what people always say right before or after they do something dramatic. A week later, it came. A certified letter. Green return receipt. Like I was adopting a rabid skunk. I stood on my stoop and opened it while the mail carrier whistled and pretended not to watch. Plaintiffs, my parents. Defendant, me. I read the words 3 times. I'm not proud to say I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because when your own parents sue you so your sister can have your home, there are no normal reactions left. Nora tugged my sleeve. Why are you making your thinking face? Because grown-ups are being silly, I said, but silly wasn't the word. Cruelty is rarely loud. It's usually neat. In 12-point font. 3 weeks before the hearing, my ex, Jess, offered to take Nora more often. Just while you're sorting this, she said, meaning the lawsuit, the living situation, the slow-motion collapse of what little family structure remained. I told her thanks. But no, I didn't want Nora out of the house. I wanted the house to stay ours. So I got to work, not on the building, but on the paper. I collected rent receipts, payment logs, photos of the renovations I'd done, the new Romex wiring, the flooring, the damn egress windows I sweated through on a weekend when it hit 98 degrees. I printed out the text from my mom. Thanks for covering taxes on the outbuilding again. We'll pay you back. Spoiler, they never did. I wasn't preparing for war. I was building a record. Because people lie. Paper doesn't. But even paper doesn't help when you see your parents resharing Ava's new vision board on Facebook. Screenshot of a pastel-painted kitchen with the caption, manifesting first home vibes. There were champagne bottle emojis. There were likes from cousins I didn't even know had Facebook. One night, Ava showed up with a latte and a tape measure. Not for me, for the walls. Just checking dimensions, she said. I want to see if my couch would fit. You mean after I'm evicted? Don't be so negative, she said, breezy as a wind chime in a storm. I looked her dead in the eye. This is my home. She gave me that smile she's used to get out of tickets and into VIP rooms. For now. That night, Nora asked, Are we still okay? I wanted to say yes. I really did. But I paused, and kids hear the pause louder than any answer. I'm trying to make sure we are, I said. She nodded, thoughtful. Do you want me to hide the money in my piggy bank? I almost cried right there on the couch. Instead, I hugged her like she was the only real thing in the whole story. No bug, you just be a kid. But even she felt it, the shift. The way my parents stopped dropping off soup. The way Ava started showing up uninvited, pretending not to measure the window for curtain rods. The way my dad stopped pretending to check on the water heater. The house got cold, even with the heat on. Then, one afternoon, Nora did something I didn't know about until the day of court. She pulled her tablet from under her pillow. We had security cameras in the house. Not because I didn't trust people, but because we'd had a raccoon situation last spring, and it was just easier to have video. I'd shown her how to check the feed, not to spy, just for safety. She found the clip herself, the one where Ava and my mom entered while I was at work, where they pulled the battery out of the CO detector, where my mom rifled through my drawings like they were junk mail, where Ava said, if he fails inspection, he'll have to move. It's faster. And when Nora asked, what kind of surprise? My mom had answered, the kind that's good for the family. Nora saved that video, labeled it Don't Show Daddy Yet. I didn't know any of that until the day of the hearing. The courtroom looked like it had given up trying to be impressive. Beige walls, cheap wood paneling, that American flag in the corner that always feels like it's judging you. My parents sat on one side, their lawyer clean-shaven and smug. Ava wore white like she was auditioning for a yogurt commercial. Jess sat behind me, Nora beside her, earbuds in, drawing quietly. When it was my turn, I presented everything. The receipts, the texts, the permits, the photos. The paper told the truth. But then Nora stood up. The whole room went still, like someone turned off the air. "Can I show you something Daddy doesn't know?" she said. The judge blinked, looked at me. I nodded. Nora walked forward, pulled out her tablet like it was a sword. "It's a video. I saved it. It's important." The judge took it like it might explode, watched the entire clip. No one spoke, no one could speak. Because the truth didn't need a closing statement. It had timestamps, it had intent, and it had my daughter's voice, off-screen, asking, "Is this surprise for Daddy?" Like a 7-year-old should never have to. When it ended, the judge didn't raise her voice. She didn't have to. "We're not going to pretend this is about empowerment," she said, deadly calm. "This is manipulation. This is an attempt to manufacture legal justification by sabotaging a tenant's safety." She turned to my parents. "Do you want to be heard?" My mom opened her mouth. Nothing came out. My dad tried. "He's ungrateful. We were helping his sister." "This isn't about gratitude," I said. "This is about being seen as expendable." The judge nodded. "Petition denied, dismissed with prejudice, and I'm issuing an injunction. You are not to enter his residence without consent. Further review pending regarding safety interference." Then she looked at Nora. "You did the right thing." Nora blinked. "Are we moving?" The judge smiled. "Not today." Outside, Jess squeezed my shoulder. Nora held my hand. And for the first time in months, I believed the roof I built might still be above us tomorrow. The house felt different after the hearing. Same windows, same creaky radiator. But it was like something in the air had finally stopped holding its breath. Nora walked in first, dropped her backpack, looked around like she was waiting for furniture to be missing. "Is it still our house?" she asked. "It always was," I said. Then, just to prove it to myself, I reached up and pressed the button on the carbon monoxide detector. It beeped. Loud, alive, still doing its job, unlike the people who tried to pull the battery. Jess gave Nora a big hug at the door. "You did good, kiddo," she whispered. Nora just shrugged and asked if she could have pancakes for dinner. That's how kids handle courtrooms. They file it under weird grown-up field trip and move on. The first call came 20 minutes later. My mom, then my dad, then Ava, then my mom again, from the landline, because guilt doesn't rest until it's been forwarded to every number in your contacts. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I changed the locks, literally. I scheduled a full rekeying and texted our lawyer asking about drafting a letter. I wanted something on paper that said, "We're done here. You don't get to walk in like nothing happened." At bedtime, Nora crawled into my lap with her tablet. "Did I get us in trouble?" she asked, small voice against my chest. "No, Bug," I said. "You got us out of trouble." She thought about that for a second. "Grandma and Grandpa are mad at me?" "They're mad at the video," I said. "And the video is true." That satisfied her. "Truth is like seat belts," she mumbled as she drifted off. Annoying, but important. I sat there for a long time, holding her while the house creaked gently around us, thinking about how quiet safety really is. It doesn't shout. It just hums in the background when it's working. The next morning, my dad showed up. He stood on the sidewalk like a tourist in front of a house he didn't recognize. I didn't invite him up. The court order had already arrived. "You embarrassed us," he said, like that was the real crime. "In a courtroom you put us in," I said. He looked past me, into the carriage house, like he could still find his version of the story in the furniture. "We were trying to help your sister." "You always are," I said, "and I'm always the scaffolding." That landed. I saw it hit him behind the eyes, but he didn't say sorry. Of course not. He just said, "She's the baby." And I said, "Then buy her a crib. Stop asking me to be the mattress." For the next couple weeks, we lived in this strange, echoing quiet. No dinner invites, no "can you fix the fence?" texts. Just silence where obligation used to be. And honestly, it felt weird at first, like walking around with a coat you didn't realize was 3 sizes too big until someone took it off you. Ava posted a photo of a condo across town. Beige backsplash, glass pendant lights, captioned, "Finally adulting." My first home. No mention of attempted sabotage, no acknowledgement of the courtroom, just a shiny key and a bunch of mutuals cheering her on like she'd just conquered Everest in heels. Meanwhile, I measured Nora's tiny bedroom and drew up plans for a loft bed with built-in drawers. She gasped when I showed her the sketch, clutched it to her chest like it was blueprints for a castle. We built it together over 3 weekends. 2 screwdrivers, 1 trip to urgent care, minor, and approximately 400 wood screws. She painted her name on the steps, then mine, then home, in glitter glue. It became our ritual, building on weekends. We made a cedar bird feeder, painted old shoeboxes into houses for stuffed animals. We hung wine chimes outside and watched the wind make music out of leftover parts. Then the texts started again. Mom, we overreacted. Can we talk? Ava, a paragraph about how she was under a lot of pressure and maybe went too far. Dad, family is messy, which translated from parent to English meant, we want you to move on without making us feel bad about it. I didn't respond. Not with words. I wrote a letter instead. Not a legal one, just mine. 1 page, direct. Mom, Dad, Ava, I love you. That hasn't changed. What's changed is access. You don't get keys anymore. You don't get to make choices about my home. We won't be at Sunday dinner for a while. If we speak, it'll be in therapy, with rules. Don't post about me. Don't call Nora to explain. Don't show up. This isn't revenge. This is closure. We are not moving. We are not debating. We are building our life. I printed it, dropped it in their mailbox myself. That thunk was louder than any argument, and it worked. For a while. They went quiet again. But the kind of quiet that feels like people are just switching strategies. The difference was, I didn't care. Sundays used to mean fixing other people's stuff. Now, Nora and I built things that stayed. By the 4th Saturday, the air finally smelled like our own again. Sawdust, pancakes, a little glue from whatever Nora was crafting into a skyscraper that day. The new locks clicked clean. I slept through the night without waking up to phantom knocks or imagined inspections. That morning I saw Ava in the grocery store. I was holding maple syrup and screws. She was holding a coffee and pretending she hadn't seen me until we were basically sharing the same air near the eggs. We should talk, she said. We are, I replied, without looking up from the shelf. I didn't mean to hurt Nora. You told a 7-year-old to keep a secret, I said, and you pulled a CO detector battery. You meant to get a result. You got one. She stepped in, then noticed the aisle camera and stepped back like a chess piece that had second thoughts. You always make me the villain, she said. You cast yourself, I said. Her jaw tensed. Okay, she snapped, then looked me over like my hoodie offended her. Enjoy your little shack. I looked down at the basket in my hand. Milk, eggs, maple syrup, screws. I will, I said. After groceries, we drove straight to the locksmith's shop. I dropped our old deadbolts on the counter with a satisfying clunk. The guy behind the counter looked up and nodded, like this was not the first time someone had come in carrying the weight of a whole family in a Ziploc bag of brass and resentment. Had a situation, I said. He started cutting new keys. You're the architect who did the library edition, right? I blinked. Yeah. My kid loves that reading nook. Says it feels safe. Safe. It landed. Not like a dramatic punch. More like a weight finally being set down where it belongs. People think safety is smoke detectors and locks. And it is. But it's also quiet. Boundaries. Saying no without flinching. A space where your kid doesn't hide videos under a pillow like they're secrets that could collapse a house. That night, after Nora went to bed, I opened the drawer where we keep our important papers, passports, lease, emergency contact list, and slid in the court order, tucked in a plastic sleeve. Not as a threat, as memory. Nora had taped a sign to the front door earlier in the day. Big bubble letters. It just said, "Home," underneath, in smaller handwriting. No secret visits. She didn't ask me to read it. She didn't have to. She was building too. 2 months later, on a Tuesday as unremarkable as any, Jess sent me a photo. I was on site, sketching skylight angles for a school renovation, chasing the winter light with blue pencil. The photo came through at 8:41 a.m. Nora, sitting on the school bus, hair half brushed, front tooth missing, thumb up like she just won something. And under the photo, just 3 words. "She's okay, Dad." I stopped mid-sketch, just held the phone, and something quiet and old let go inside my chest. Not fear, not anger. The thing that had been keeping watch for the next letter, the next ambush disguised as family. It finally stepped down. That night I sat in our tiny kitchen under the light I installed myself. Nora was upstairs in the loft bed we built, singing something off-key and proud. Outside, the bird feeder swayed in the wind. The air felt like ours. Not borrowed, not pending, ours. We still saw my parents. Birthdays, cousin's baby shower. I stayed by the coffee urn, hands in my pockets. My mom tried jokes like she was testing character voices. My dad did football small talk, like that counted as reconciliation. I answered what mattered. Then I moved away. I don't let the magnets pull anymore. The ones made of guilt and duty and old expectations dressed as tradition. They're not stronger than the quiet we've built here. Ava bought a condo across town, posted a photo of a beige tile backsplash with the caption, "Doing it all. Girl who can hang a towel hook and slay the boardroom." Good for her. I don't need an apology anymore, not if it comes wrapped in asterisks. I don't need credit. I don't need a chair at a table I had to rebuild just to be heard. I don't measure safety in square footage anymore. I measure it in how fast the windows open, in how loud the carbon monoxide detector beeps when I press the test button, in whether my daughter hides her tablet under her pillow out of habit or peace. Sometimes my mom texts. Just the word. Therapy? I reply with a clinic link. A date. Sometimes they show. Most times, no. That's okay, because the truth, I'm not waiting anymore. I'm not performing sonship like a job interview. I'm not hoping someone sees the work I've done and finally calls it love. We're safe, not in the castle on a hill way, in the stable radiator hum way, in the you can hang your drawings here way. Nora wrote home on the front door in purple chalk. Under it, she wrote smaller, "No secret visits." She gets it. She was never too young, just too honest for their comfort. Closure isn't fire, it's design. It's measured cuts and clean lines. It's the thunk of a letter in a mailbox, the pause before answering a call, and the choice not to. It's sleeping through the night because no one has the keys but you. I still keep the court order in a clear plastic sleeve in the drawer with our passports, not as a threat, as memory. Paper doesn't lie. Paper doesn't flinch when someone says, "But we're family." Sometimes I watch Nora's video again, just to remind myself what happens when truth walks into a room full of strategy. That little voice asking, "Is it a surprise?" still cracks something in me. If the people who raised you will sabotage your alarms to keep their version of the story intact, become your own alarm. Say no clearly. Don't whisper boundaries. Speak them like blueprints. I told the judge, this isn't revenge. It's closure. Still true. Closure is locks that click, screws tightened by your own hand, quiet that doesn't make you flinch, a daughter who knows you'll always tell her the truth, even when it's hard. Family doesn't get to rearrange you just because they knew you when you were small. I'm not small anymore. I'm the one who builds. I'm the one who stays. I'm the one who made sure the alarms work. And we're home.